This video is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Always consult with qualified health practitioners before making any health changes.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, let me tell you something as clear as the sky after the storm. Not every hand that reaches for you comes to lift you. Not every voice that speaks to you sings a song of truth, and not every gift offered to you is a blessing. Now I want you to pause, breathe, listen with your soul. Be careful when a naked person offers you a shirt. Oh, that's more than a proverb. That's a warning wrapped in velvet and fire. It is the kind of wisdom passed down through whispers in kitchens, through prayers on front porches, through glances between people who have seen too much and survived even more. You see, there are folks out here walking around with empty hands and hollow hearts, dressed in nothing but illusions, and yet they come to you offering salvation, solutions, promises, shirts. But sugar, how can someone who's got holes in their own stories sew up yours? Discernment is protection. Not everyone who smiles means well. That's not bitterness talking, that's survival wisdom dressed in grace. We are living in a world where masks are sold cheaper than mirrors, and too often we confuse charm for character. People can stand in your light and still cast a shadow over your peace. They can speak soft and sweet while planting seeds of doubt in your spirit. So you must learn deeply and without apology to look beyond the surface. There are those who walk among us with wide grins and empty intentions. They talk about love with their lips but have never let it live in their hands. They'll call you family and feed your insecurities in the same breath. They offer praise when you're low, not to lift you, but to earn your trust. Trust they will later spend like loose change on their own comfort. You see, discernment isn't judgment. It's not cruelty. It's not coldness. It's a kind of holy knowing. It's hearing the music behind the words. It's reading between the gestures. It's knowing that a good heart doesn't always wear a good face. It's recognizing that some people have practiced kindness like a performance, not a principle. And you, beloved, must know the difference. Because there will be people who will tell you they want to help, but what they really want is to be seen helping. There are those who offer advice not because they care, but because giving advice makes them feel powerful. Some will show up in your storm, not to bring shelter, but to tell stories later about how close they stood to the thunder. Be wary of those who make your struggle their spotlight. And yet we are taught to smile back, to be polite, to give people the benefit of the doubt even when our bones know better. But your spirit always knows. You feel it in your gut when something doesn't sit right. You feel the hesitation in your laugh, the stiffness in your smile, the weight in your chest when someone's energy brushes too close. That's discernment. Don't silence it. When a person comes to you naked in truth, vulnerable in spirit, you will feel the difference. Their honesty won't demand, it will invite. Their care won't perform, it will stay quiet and steady. Their shirt, if they offer it, will not be flashy. It will be woven from empathy, from shared pain, from love that's walked through fire and still chooses to be warm. That's the kind of offering you can trust. That's the kind of soul you open the door for. But the others, the ones who dress their brokenness in borrowed pride, the ones who give only to feel powerful, who love only to be owed, you owe them nothing but distance. Not anger, not drama, just distance. Let silence protect your peace where words once tried and failed. Let your quiet boundaries speak the loudest truth. You don't have to hate them. Just don't hand them the pen to write your story. Don't let their approval become your compass. Because when you know who you are, when you are anchored in your truth, you don't need every smile to mean something. You don't need every compliment to land. You don't need every offer to be a blessing. You'll find your peace in the choosing. You'll find your strength in saying no to what doesn't serve you, even when it's wrapped in sugar and soft hands. You'll find your joy in surrounding yourself with those who don't just clap when you rise, but sit beside you when you fall, who don't just offer shirts, but offer themselves, fully clothed in authenticity, humility, and love. And so remember this as you move through this world. The smile you see is not always the heart that's true. Listen deeper, feel sharper, love wisely. Because discernment is not only protection, it is the voice of your soul telling you the truth long before the world proves it. And when that voice speaks, let it lead you home. A giver must first be whole before their gift holds value. That's something life teaches you quietly after the glitter fades and the truth starts whispering in the cracks. It's easy to be drawn to people who seem generous, who offer their time, their advice, their affection. But look closely. Not every offering is rooted in love. Some are born from lack, from loneliness, from a desperate need to matter. And when someone gives from emptiness, their gift often comes with invisible strings. You cannot pour from an empty cup. We say it all the time, but how often do we believe it? How often do we question the hand that gives, asking not just what they offer, but why they're offering it? A shirt means something different when it's given by someone clothed in peace, in strength, in self-awareness. But when the person is bare, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, you have to ask, where did that shirt come from? And what will it cost you to wear it? We all want to be needed, that's human. But when someone's need to give is tied to their need to be seen, that giving becomes a performance. It's not generosity, it's currency. They give not to lift you, but to feel bigger, to feel useful, to fill a hole inside them with your gratitude. And once you see it for what it is, you begin to understand that not all gifts are blessings, some are burdens dressed up in ribbon. A person who is whole gives with open hands and no expectation. Their shirt fits because it was never about the shirt. It's about care, about showing up, about presence, not performance. But a person who hasn't healed, who hasn't done the quiet work of becoming, will often offer what they don't even possess. They'll give advice they don't follow, love they don't understand, peace they've never sat with. And when you take it, believing in its promise, you'll find yourself wearing something that doesn't fit and wondering why you still feel cold. Wholeness is not perfection. It's not about having all the answers or walking without wounds. Wholeness is about awareness. It's about knowing where you're broken and choosing not to break others with your pieces. It's about learning yourself, loving yourself, forgiving yourself, and from that place, giving to others without losing your own center. You must pay attention to who's offering you something, not out of mistrust, but out of self-respect. It's not rude to question a gift. It's not cruel to pause before you receive. When someone offers you comfort, make sure they're not using your pain to distract from their own. When someone offers you love, make sure it's not stitched together with their unhealed wounds. When someone offers you help, make sure it doesn't come at the cost of your dignity or peace. Too many of us have been clothed in things that never belonged to us. We've worn guilt, shame, insecurity, gifts handed down by people who couldn't carry their own, and we carried it thinking we were being kind, being loyal, being loved. But real love, real generosity, doesn't ask you to shrink. It doesn't clothe you in confusion or control. It gives and then lets go. It honors your freedom. And so, if someone isn't whole, let them heal before they give. Let them find their own shirt before they try to dress your soul. You are not here to fix broken people with your gratitude. You are not a canvas for someone else's unresolved pain. You deserve to receive from people who give out of joy, not obligation, out of fullness, not fear. It is a beautiful thing to give, but it is a sacred thing to give from a place of truth, not lack. And when you learn to see that difference, when you begin to trust your knowing, you will stop accepting what drains you. You will stop mistaking desperation for devotion, and you will start receiving only what honors your becoming, because you too must be whole. You too must know that your worth is not tied to what you accept, but to what you protect. Let your spirit remain uncluttered. Let your boundaries be brave, and may every gift you receive reflect the light you already carry. Empty hands can't clothe your soul. Be wise about what you accept. That truth sits deep in the belly of anyone who has ever been fooled by the packaging of a promise. You learn sometimes too late that not every offering is meant to cover you. Some things are meant to distract you, to bind you, to make you forget the power you already carry inside. People will show up in your life with open hands and hollow hearts. They'll speak of healing while still hiding their own hurt. They'll offer love when they haven't yet tasted peace. And because we're all reaching for something, connection, safety, understanding, we take it, we believe them, we wear their words like armor, only to discover it's made of paper. And when the rain comes, when the winds of life blow strong, that armor melts. And we are left bare, colder than before, wondering how we ever believed something so fragile could protect something so sacred. You have to learn how to look past what's offered and into what's real. Just because someone gives you something doesn't mean it's for your good. There are people who hand out affection to feed their ego, people who offer advice not to uplift you but to feel superior, people who give you attention just long enough to keep you tethered to their chaos. Those are empty hands dressed in false intention. And here's the thing. It's not always their fault. Most of them don't even know they're empty. They've been pretending so long, they believe the illusion. But you have a responsibility to your soul. You cannot allow yourself to be clothed in someone else's confusion. You cannot cover your spirit with borrowed hope, borrowed peace, borrowed worth. That is a dangerous softness, one that slowly tears at your own fabric, your own knowing. You deserve something more honest than that. We often accept what's given because we don't want to seem ungrateful. We don't want to offend, to be the one who says no when everyone expects a yes. But your peace is not a prize to be handed out for politeness. Your time, your trust, your attention, they are sacred. And sacred things must be guarded with discernment. If someone is offering you a shirt, ask yourself, where did this come from? Did they earn it through their own growth, or are they trying to dress you in something they haven't even worn themselves? Because you can't give what you don't have, not truly. You can offer the shape of it, you can say all the right things, but a soul knows when it's being covered with something real and when it's just being hidden. There's a difference between help and harm dressed in the costume of help. There is a difference between guidance and control, between love and attachment. Empty hands can't clothe your soul, and yet too many of us are walking around wearing garments stitched from other people's unhealed stories. We wear their fear and call it caution. We wear their judgment and call it truth. We wear their limitation and call it safety. But you, child, were not born to be dressed in someone else's doubt. You have to become bold in what you allow near your spirit. Be soft, but don't be open to everything. Be kind, but don't be naive. You're not cold for asking where something came from. You're not arrogant for saying no to what doesn't fit. You are honoring yourself. You are preserving your energy for the things that were actually meant for you. Receive only what makes you fuller. Accept only what wraps your soul in truth, not illusion. And if someone shows up with empty hands and a big story, bless them, but do not let them cover you, because your soul deserves more than decoration. It deserves depth. It deserves devotion. It deserves realness. And when you finally understand that, you'll stop letting everyone touch the fabric of your peace. Not all generosity is genuine. Some comes wrapped in manipulation. And if you don't know how to recognize the difference, you may find yourself bound by the very hands that once claimed to help you. Because sometimes what looks like kindness is really control in disguise. It's not always loud or obvious. In fact, the most dangerous kind of manipulation is the quiet kind, the one that smiles when it takes and calls itself love when it demands. We're taught to say thank you, even when something doesn't feel right. We're taught to accept help, to be grateful, to not question the motives of someone doing something nice. But sometimes nice is a mask. Sometimes behind that offering is a ledger, a list of debts they'll expect you to pay when the moment suits them. They don't always want to give, they want to own. And what they give you is just the first link in a chain meant to keep you small, dependent, and obedient. There are people who will offer their time, their money, even their affection, not because they care, but because they want something in return. Sometimes it's your attention, sometimes your loyalty, sometimes your silence. But whatever it is, it's not free. Their gift is not given, it's bait. And if you don't know the game, you'll play it. They'll remind you of what they did for you when you start to grow. They'll hold their generosity over your head when you disagree. After everything I've done for you, they'll say. And suddenly their kindness becomes a leash. And just like that, you're no longer free. You're not standing in partnership, you're being managed. This is why discernment matters. This is why you must look not only at what someone gives, but how they give it. Pay attention to their posture. A genuine giver gives and lets go. A manipulator keeps score. A genuine giver doesn't shout their good deeds. A manipulator makes sure everyone hears. A genuine giver uplifts your power. A manipulator needs you weak to feel strong. And don't be fooled by soft words either. Manipulation doesn't always come in anger. Sometimes it's sugar-coated. It comes with compliments, with affection, with promises. But underneath, it's always the same, an attempt to bend your will, to trap you in obligation. It can happen in friendships, in families, in partnerships. It can even happen in communities that claim to care for you. And once you see it, once your spirit starts noticing the weight of their help, you can't unsee it. That's when you have to decide, am I going to keep accepting this just because it's dressed up as love? You don't owe anyone your peace in exchange for their performance. You don't owe anyone your silence just because they did something for you once. Love is not a transaction. Care is not a contract. And help that comes with control is not help. It's manipulation painted in warm tones. You have every right to say no. You have every right to decline an offer that feels heavy. You are not ungrateful for protecting your peace. You are not selfish for questioning intentions. You are simply choosing not to be owned, and that is your right, that is your strength. When someone gives from love, there is no pressure, no guilt, no expectation hidden in the folds. But when it's manipulation, the gift always comes with a catch. It may not be today. It may not be tomorrow, but one day they will try to collect. And you must be strong enough to remember that you never signed the contract. So ask yourself, is this gift a blessing or a bargain? Is this support or subtle control? Are they giving to uplift me or to tie me to them? Because you are not a project, you are not a puppet, you are not a means to someone else's feeling of power. You are a soul, sacred, worthy, and free, and you deserve to receive without being held hostage by the hands that gave. Know the source before you trust the offering. That's a truth that doesn't always come easy, especially when the world teaches us to grab onto anything that looks like comfort. But comfort that comes from an unclear source can lead you deeper into confusion than the discomfort you were trying to escape. Not every sweet word is spoken with a clean heart. Not every outstretched hand has your healing in mind. You must begin to ask with quiet courage, where is this coming from? Not out of suspicion, but out of self-respect. Because when someone gives you something, their advice, their love, their loyalty, you're not just receiving the thing, you're receiving the energy, the intention, the truth, that produced it. And if the source is broken, if it's rooted in fear, pride, insecurity, or ego, then the gift is not a gift at all. It is a seed that may grow weeds in the soil of your soul. People can only give from where they live. Someone who hasn't made peace with themselves can't give you peace. Someone who lives in scarcity will give with strings. Someone who has never practiced honesty can't teach you how to live in truth. So when an offering comes your way, whether it's love, support, opportunity, or even correction, don't just take it at face value. Look deeper. Ask yourself what lies behind it. It's easy to be dazzled by the appearance of generosity. It's easy to be swept away by a grand gesture, a comforting voice, a timely solution. But time will always reveal the roots. And if you don't pause to check where something's coming from, you may find yourself drinking poison from a cup that looked like salvation. There are people who will offer you wisdom they've never applied, people who will offer to lead you when they haven't yet found their own direction. They mean well sometimes, but good intentions don't always lead to good outcomes. Even the sun can burn if you stand too long without protection, and someone's help can hurt if it's coming from an unhealed place. So you must learn to examine the foundation before you build on it. If someone offers you guidance, ask yourself, do they live by this truth, or are they only fluent in the language of pretending? If someone offers love, ask, is it love that frees or love that controls? If someone offers opportunity, ask, is this aligned with who I am, or am I being pulled into someone else's shadow? Knowing the source is not about doubting everyone. It's about honoring your spirit enough to want alignment, not just appearance. You don't need to accept everything that looks good. You need to accept what is good for you, for your growth, for your peace. And you must also be honest about your own desperation, because sometimes we want something so badly, love, belonging, validation, that we stop asking where it comes from. We take whatever is offered, no matter the source, and we call it a blessing. But blessings don't ask you to shrink. They don't come with confusion or shame or strings tied so tight they choke your freedom. Be willing to wait for the real thing. Be willing to turn down what looks good if it doesn't feel right. Your intuition is wise. Your spirit knows. You were built with a compass, and it doesn't need noise. It needs quiet, stillness, truth. And when you learn to ask, where is this coming from? You begin to walk with clarity, with confidence, with power, because the source matters, the intention matters. And you, beautiful soul, deserve more than just the appearance of care. You deserve care that comes from a heart that's been softened by experience, not hardened by ego. You deserve love that flows from wholeness, not emptiness in disguise. You deserve truth, not convenience. So know the source. And when it is pure, when it is real, you'll feel it. It won't confuse you. It won't demand. It will simply give, and you'll know finally that this is something you can trust. Not everyone who shows up in your life is meant to stay, and not every giver is meant to be trusted. That's a hard lesson to learn, especially when you were raised to see the good in people, to welcome them with open arms, to make room even when you had none left for yourself. But truth has a way of knocking louder each time you ignore it. And the truth is this: some people give not to lift you, but to tether you. Some people offer their help only to secure a seat close enough to control your next move. You have to stop assuming that everyone who gives to you has good intentions. That's not bitterness. That's wisdom wrapped in self-preservation. It's not about being unkind. It's about being clear. Because clarity is kindness to your future self. It's the way you make sure that the doors you open don't invite in storms disguised as shelter. People will come bearing gifts, advice, support, even love. And they will wrap it so carefully in charm, in attentiveness, and familiarity. But that doesn't mean their presence is aligned with your path. You have to learn the difference between someone who contributes to your growth and someone who confuses it. Not everyone who waters you wants to see you bloom. Some want you dependent, wilted, close enough to pluck when it serves them. And this is where discernment becomes your lifeline. You have to feel people beyond what they show. You have to notice the patterns beneath the words. Are they consistent? Do they celebrate your boundaries or push against them? Do they honor your growth or subtly resent it? These things matter, because if you mistake attention for intention, you'll end up keeping people who are only supposed to pass through. There's a kind of giver who gives so they can stay close enough to shape your choices. They speak like mentors but move like masters. They help just enough to earn your trust, then slowly begin to influence your thoughts, your doubts, your sense of self. And because they started with kindness, you feel guilty questioning them. You silence your own intuition in favor of their validation. But trust that comes at the cost of your voice is not trust. It's control, and you were not created to be controlled. You were not designed to be molded into someone else's comfort. You were born to stand whole, to walk tall in your own knowing, to receive only what nourishes your soul without asking it to shrink. You have to understand presence does not equal purpose. Someone can be present in your life and still not be part of your healing. Someone can show up consistently and still be rooted in self-interest. Someone can offer help that slowly becomes a leash. And unless you're willing to name it, to face it, you'll find yourself loyal to a role you were never meant to play. It is not your job to keep people around just because they gave you something once. A favor is not a lifelong debt. Kindness is not a contract. You do not owe your future to someone who only showed up in your past. And if their giving is a way to keep a foot in the door of your life, you have every right to close it. This doesn't make you ungrateful, it makes you aware. There is a sacred difference. Gratitude says, thank you for what you gave. Awareness says, but I choose who stays. You can bless someone for their contribution and still walk away when their presence begins to cost your peace. That is not disloyalty. That is discernment. That is growth. You owe it to yourself to examine the heart behind the hands that give. Ask, does their presence add to me or drain me? Do I feel more like myself when they're near or less? Are they giving to empower me or to keep me tethered to their story? These answers will come quietly, but they will come. And when they do, listen. Because when you know your worth, you no longer keep people just because they once offered you something. You keep people who offer you truth, who honor your boundaries, who give without needing to control. That's the kind of giving that builds, not binds. And that's the kind you deserve. You must learn to protect your space. Not just the space around your body, but the space around your spirit. Because once you start honoring who you are, you'll begin to notice how many people have been speaking over your truth, offering things you never asked for, pressing into your peace with hands that don't know how to hold gently. Protecting your space isn't selfish, it's sacred. It is how you remind the world and yourself that your life is not a public place where anyone can come and rearrange the furniture of your being. Some people show up uninvited, loud, with opinions, quick with solutions, eager to dress you in their version of what your life should look like. They offer advice you didn't seek, help you didn't ask for, and love you didn't consent to receive. It all sounds generous, but generosity without permission is intrusion. Just because someone wants to give you something doesn't mean you have to take it. Just because someone enters your life with open arms doesn't mean their embrace is safe. Your spirit is a home. And not everyone deserves a key. You've spent time building your peace. You've struggled, cried, clawed through silence and confusion just to find stillness again. And in that stillness, you found yourself. You found your strength, your softness, your vision. But not everyone who enters will honor what it took for you to get here. Some will walk in muddy-footed, dragging their chaos behind them, trying to hang their wounds on your walls. If you're not careful, you'll let them. Because they say they mean well. Because you don't want to seem cold. Because you were taught to always open the door when someone knocks, but no more. Let this be the moment you start checking the energy at the door. Let this be the moment you choose discernment over guilt. Your space is not a test of your kindness. It's a reflection of your self-respect. Not everyone who offers you something, their thoughts, their concern, their affection, deserves to get close. Proximity is a privilege. Let it be earned, not assumed. And when you start protecting your space, you will notice who resists. The ones who only showed up to benefit from your openness will begin to call you difficult, cold, distant. Let them. Let them misunderstand you, because the ones who truly care won't be offended by your boundaries. They'll be grateful for them. They'll honor your no. They'll ask before entering. They'll knock and wait. You must also protect your inner space from the noise that doesn't belong to you, the voices that try to make you second-guess your worth, the opinions that want to shape your identity, the energy that pulls you in 10 directions when all you want is to sit still and breathe. You are not a dumping ground for other people's confusion. You are not a project to be fixed, a puzzle to be solved, a blank wall for others to project their needs onto. You are a soul becoming, and your space must reflect that. Be mindful of what you let in. Words are energy, thoughts are energy, people are energy, and whatever you allow into your sacred space will either water you or wither you. Choose wisely. The most beautiful gardens are not the ones everyone walks through. They're the ones protected, nurtured, tended with care. You must become the gardener of your own life. Pull the weeds, let the sunlight in. Say no to what dims you. And understand this, protecting your space is not about isolation, it's about elevation. It's about choosing relationships that build, not break. It's about surrounding yourself with people who understand the weight of presence, who respect silence, who come not to take, but to sit gently in your light. You owe yourself peace. You owe yourself clarity. You owe yourself the freedom to exist without constant interference. So hold your space like it's holy, because it is. And let only those in who know how to walk with reverence. And so as you carry these truths forward, may you walk not in fear, but in deep awareness. May you learn to see beyond appearances, to trust your intuition, to question what's handed to you before you wear it like it was made for you. May you remember that not every giver is a healer, not every offering is a gift, and not every voice deserves a seat at the table of your soul. You are worthy of clarity. You are worthy of love without strings, help without control, presence without pressure. Keep your spirit sacred. Keep your peace protected. And above all, trust yourself, because no one knows your path like the one who walks it every day. May your boundaries be strong, your discernment sharp, and your heart always full of what is true. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for allowing these words to sit with you a while. Keep rising, keep choosing wisely, keep shining. You are more powerful than you know.